Hello, I'm Angela.
And I'm Marie, the second half of this mother and daughter team.
Welcome to Chakra Checkups.
We're here to guide you on your quest for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment.
All right, here we go again. Another episode, brand new mic. Shout out for better sound. Give us a round of applause. I think we're finally figuring out some of this tech stuff. I hope it sounds so much better for everyone.
Sounds better for us.
It's easier for us, which is
Easier for
nice.
us.
So we get to hang out on the couch and just play catch up. Mom, you got back from a workshop.
Simi Valley, yes. I was in LA. I hadn't been in LA for 18 years. It has definitely changed.
What was it like being back in the big bustling city?
Noisy.
Noisy.
Noisy for
Right.
sure. And expensive.
Yeah.
I got a cheeseburger at my hotel and it was $32. I guess that's...
Was it worth it?
No.
No, that's the worst. So what else happened at this workshop? You came back all pumped up on it. So.
Well, it was really great to see. My goal is to teach people to manage their energy and really realize how much of a healer they are and how capable they are. And many of the people there had never done any healing. Mm-hmm. Not all of them. There's some that were pretty good healers, but there's some that had never done any healing. And I was able to demonstrate to them how they could do it, and they were succeeding. They were doing healing work. They could feel it in their body. They could feel the energy flowing.
What was the best, like, 0 to hero success story out of this workshop?
Oh, there were so many. I mean, every single one of the people there just seemed to get happier and looked younger and were just glowing by the time that we were done. When you realize that you are connected to spirit and you do have this potential, but it's not just potential, it's realized potential, people become very happy and excited, and they feel like they're more. They feel like they're worth more. And they also, several people said to me, they always believed they were just a little bit crazy or nuts, and now they just felt like it was normal and right and the way it should be.
You also said before, just from practicing doing healings, it makes you happier.
Yeah. Well, when you're doing a healing correctly, it actually cleans you up in the process, and your energy expands. It doesn't contract. You don't get worn out. You don't feel all exhausted. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing too. Everyone was just laughing and glowing and very enthusiastic. It was a great group.
Awesome.
I walked everybody through a meditation and exercise to access their Akashic records.
Ooh, did anyone get an answer from their Akashic records?
Well, many people did, not everybody. Mm-hmm. But the other thing about when you do access your Akashic records, sometimes it comes in a day or two, the answer, and sometimes it comes vividly.
Okay.
And while we were doing it, I was asking my angels if I will ever get past all of my past stuff and become enlightened in this lifetime.
And will you ever become enlightened?
And well, what they showed me this tree with these really kind of yellow and orange shiny leaves on it. Uh-huh. And they said, we're going to burn this all down. And it showed me the tree on fire, turn it to ash, and then you're going to come back stronger than ever.
Like a phoenix rising from the flame.
That's one interpretation. It's hard to know for sure.
Except a tree. Yeah, what does it all mean?
Well, sometimes that's a thing with angels. Sometimes it's a little
hard to decipher. There's no dictionary we can look up the words and the things that they're showing us for interpretation, is there?
Well, there actually might be. I just haven't found it yet.
Oh, maybe we should start asking our angels for the book of deciphers.
Yeah, the angel encyclopedia.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one.
Maybe we can access that. That could be good. I took it as very positive. I took it as a very positive message. I think that was a yes. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about the process, but we'll go down the road and find out.
I don't know. It sounds like you got to burn yourself to the ground first.
Well, I don't think it doesn't. I think that was more of a metaphor. I'm not going to pour gasoline on myself or anything like that. I'm going for a different interpretation here, but I think that it was a very positive thing, and many people did get answers. Some of them said I got answers. I didn't like the answer.
Interesting.
You know, you ask for a question, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get the answer that you would like to hear.
Do you have an example?
Well, maybe you want to be a famous, I don't know, car salesman, and
Yeah, I mean, like the person that asked, is that too personal? Did they tell you what they
well, I
asked
don't want,
or what they
really want to
shared?
say anything personal, but one person did ask for what they should be doing, and they got a very clear answer, but it was not what they were doing or they thought they wanted to do.
Interesting.
So that was sort of interesting. Like, okay, no, and it isn't something that was out of their possibility of their talents, but definitely not.
Just not on
Not
their
what they
radar
were-
of something they thought of.
Yeah, not their life path that they were planning out as far as. Well, and that's the thing about asking what I should do. I think anytime you get an answer, if you get the answer that sounds glorious, you're great with it. If you get a different answer, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, our future path, if we hadn't thought about going down that direction, it's not very much in our conscious mind. So it would be a little bit tricky to wrap your head around something that's just totally not something you're thinking about.
Right, exactly. So,
Especially when it comes to an entire career path. I'm sure the angels don't care about your salary or things like that. They're like, this would be good for you and the planet, not necessarily good for supporting your family right now.
well, I don't think they're particularly caught up in the monetary system, for
Right.
sure.
That's what I
They've
mean.
never been in a body, and,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean a lot to them, I don't think. But I think that if you did say, I really need a job and this is how much I need to support my family,
Yeah.
and I want to attract that to me, I don't think there'd be a problem with them helping you to be attracted to or find the job or life path that would do that for you.
Right.
And one of the things we were talking about in the workshop is in terms of abundance and life paths is that a lot of people that are spiritual, they feel like maybe they don't deserve it or their karma is preventing them from having what they want. And we also at the same time talking about how that probably isn't based in any kind of fact because there are a lot of criminals or mafia people that they're not worried about if they deserve something or not.
No, they just go out and take what they want.
They just go out and get it. They get money and they live these sometimes luxury lives. They're not concerned about the morality of it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, but it's interesting how many really spiritual and good people think they're not deserving.
Yeah, compared to other people that aren't necessarily thinking about whether or not they deserve it.
Right, right. And it made me remember a time in one of the ayahuasca sessions where they had set up an altar and they said you could come up and kind of the old time Catholic sort of confessional model, but you could come up to the speaker and you could confess anything you want to be forgiven for. And we had a room of 200 people and almost nobody had anything to confess. And then this one lady who was super sweet, she comes up and she's like, I know I was awful. I mean, I think there was a person that wanted a drink of water and I could have gone and got him a drink of water. And I didn't do that. And I felt so bad. And I really want to be forgiven for that. And then there was a time when somebody smiled at me and I didn't smile back. And,
Yeah.
and she's going on. And after a while, people actually started laughing because I'm sure there are people.
Because everyone in that room had things like that they had done that didn't cross their mind or weren't thinking about probably.
Or probably far
Or didn't want to
worse
admit
things.
to confess it in front of 200 people.
Right, exactly. I'm sure a lot of people did a lot worse than that, and they were fine with it.
Yeah.
Again, it's just sort of this idea that you have to be perfect and you have to be a perfect saint, and even then you may not deserve to have enough money to live on.
Right.
And I just think that that's something that
We should just throw out those ideas out the window.
completely, I know. I mean, if there's so many billions of dollars in the world and the criminals and the people that are awful have so much of it, a little redistribution might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's get some of this flowing into the community that really cares.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still forever a fan of manifestation, and that if you put your mind towards something, it's going to happen.
No.
And I've seen it happen on more than one occasion. You've seen it happen on more than one occasion.
Well, and manifestation, interestingly.
You did that before the workshop. We were driving down the road, and you put your head out the window, and you're like, I need more people to sign up now. And then
They did.
2 or 3 people signed up.
Yeah. This is true. That's called shrine. I think it has a history in either Scotland or Ireland, but you go out and scream at the sky. When you're not getting what you want, go out and scream at the sky.
If you're lucky, $2 will rain down.
Well, that's a fact. So maybe we gotta up that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying when you were talking about manifesting a chicken dinner for $2.99 or $1.99.
Instead of 2 $1 bills, how about 2
$100,000
$100,000 treasury certificates?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a winning lottery ticket
There
or
you
something
go.
like
Something
that.
like
You know,
that.
like rain that down on me. But who knows how many lost lottery tickets there are in the world. They could just, I'm all about that, angels.
But anyway, well, and then Saturday night, we went back to the hotel, and someone had come and put their poor dog in a crate in the hallway. And that little dog was just screaming its head off.
It seems like something you couldn't even do in a public hotel. Like, a lot of them don't allow dogs, but if they do allow dogs, they should at least be in the same room as the people and not in the public hallway.
Yeah, these people checked in really late, and they were really loud. It seemed like they were just throwing stuff everywhere because there was all this banging and the poor
Yeah.
dog screaming. But at any rate, so that woke us up. And after that, I thought, well, I'll just change the energy. I'll just sit and do a meditation and not pay attention to whatever drama's going on. And I did a meditation. As I was doing that, the lovely lady that I was sharing a room with, she just started sleeping. I could tell she was in a really deep sleep. So I decided to go to sleep also. And almost as soon as I went to sleep, I was on the astral with her. And we were in these very, very beautiful gossamer dresses, not like Victorian, but fairly modern, very simple, but very beautiful fabric, very sparkling and with little bits of color in them. And we were someone was saying that the two of us were going to do a demonstration of how you create a thought form in the style of the people from the Pleiades.
Okay.
Which that alone just kind of blows my mind. And so then we started this, which is almost like a choreographed dance. We started about a foot from each other and then bent forward and touched our third eye, our foreheads together. And then you think of what thought form you want to produce. Then you kind of move your head back to straight, your body straight, and you start to throw your shoulders back and your hands and then sweep forward. It's like you're moving the air and moving the energy from behind you forward and into the space between us. And that formed this tall dome that was a sky blue with just a little tint of gray in it, this sort of very sky-like dome of energy, which I could really feel at the time. And then she went around in a circle around this dome on a clockwise, and I went around counterclockwise till we came back to where we started. And then the dome had become much larger. So I woke up and I was like, well, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
It was very cool.
So what would be the purpose of developing these thought forms?
Well, when you want to create something, if you make a thought form, thoughts attract thoughts. So if you were able to make the strong thought form, it's going to attract more of the same energy, and it's more likely to come into being.
Okay.
And I think people, they want stuff, but they're very unfocused. So they're
Okay.
not actually taking the time to, like, you know, I want a large lap pool, and then form a thought form about what it is and that you're going to have it. It's going to have more energy, likely to happen faster than if you just say, yeah, I'd like a pool, and I'd also like.
It kind of just like jump starts those energies of manifestation.
Right. But anyway, I thought, let's try this in the workshop.
Yeah. Why not?
I had to modify things a little bit because we didn't have that much space for, 20 people to be going round and round, but we did, do it, and you could everyone could feel the energy, and it was strong. They went, wow.
And what thought form were you developing?
Peace and health, happiness and health.
Did everyone leave more peaceful, happier, healthier?
They're pretty darn happy.
Yeah. Good. Success.
So, but anyway, so that was a very interesting thing. Very interesting. Some of the stuff you don't know exactly what it's all about, but I'm always willing to give things a try like that.
Yeah, only in your world would you have random dreams where you're like, I learned a new thing. Maybe not only in your world.
Well, the point of doing the workshops, the point of teaching is that it isn't only in my world.
Right.
And more I want people to join my world,
Yeah.
if they want to be there. So I do all these readings for people. I do all these chakra readings, and I have a format that I do. And I tell people, a lot of times when I start to teach something, someone says, well, I could also do it this way, or I could do it that way. And that's great. But what I told people in this workshop, you might feel that way, but let's just try it exactly the way I do it.
Yeah.
Because I know that works, at least for me.
Yeah.
And it may work for you. So we went really step by step, take the person across from you. I said, pick the person you know the least. Mm-hmm. Let's get their name, write it on the left corner of the paper. And then we had avatars already printed on the paper, so they've got their little avatar. Mm-hmm. And then put your hand over it and declare that this is their avatar, this is them.
So we're talking about like remote viewing now.
Remote viewing,
Yeah.
Right. And so I just walked through them step by step by step. And every single person in that room had between 4 things and 13 or 14 things accurate.
Wow, cool.
Completely
Had
accurate.
anyone done it before?
No,
No. It was
except me.
First timers sat down, scanned over something
With people they didn't know.
with people they didn't know for a reading, essentially.
And even me, the person that was doing it with me, she said, you're having trouble with your psoas muscle, which I have been from my back since the injury.
Okay.
So they were getting very specific things,
Yeah, that is pretty specific to be like this muscle,
yeah.
not just the lower back or a general thing. But
Right. So it was really stunning, and I was thrilled to see them all doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think they're pretty excited about it too, because I think they thought it's going to be much more difficult than it really was.
Yeah, you had a few people. What did they ask? What if I can't do any of the things that you're teaching?
Yeah, one person said, I'm just worried. I'm worried that I won't be able to do anything. Everybody will be able to do stuff, and I won't be able to do anything. And they said, well, what's going to happen then? And I said, I'm going to have to put you in the corner.
Yeah.
But actually, it turned out that person
Did really well.
super well,
Great.
way beyond anybody's expectations,
Way beyond his expectations.
way beyond his expectations.
Which I think is the point of why you're doing a lot of these in-person things now.
Yes, because I want people to that's what self-realization is. You're going to realize who you are and how talented you are. I'll write down in readings, this person has this ability, that ability, another ability, and they say, oh, I don't think I have those. And then we get into a workshop, and they're like, wow.
Like, oh, it all works.
I do have that. And
maybe I should attend a workshop.
good plan. Oh, that's right. You're going to be gone for the next one. And also there's that dynamic of more than one person working together that brings up the whole group too.
Yeah, I was surprised actually because I've never been a fan of group healings, and the idea of even just sitting down in a group and meditating just seemed like something that I would rather do on my own, in my own space, in my own time, with my own music. But anyways, you say that group healings are good. So I've started to attend a lot of these meditations, and I'm surprised actually by how good a lot of them have been and how powerful and better I feel afterwards.
Well, I told people at the workshop, don't make this about me. It's not about me. You're not doing this because I'm there. Yes, I did teach them some things, but really, I view people these days as we're like a piece of string, and each of us are one little knot in that piece of string, but we're all attached to the same ball of yarn. We're all the same.
Okay.
And we're all connected.
I don't know if I'm understanding the string analogy.
Well, it's like we're not separate. We're not separate pieces. We're not separate individuals.
Like we're all wound around each other into a ball?
Well, no. If you had a long piece of string and you had little knots in the string, then little knots are the people, and that's all one piece.
Okay.
We're all connected.
Okay.
And to that degree, when I look around in a workshop or something, I say, we didn't wind up here by accident.
Right.
Everyone there is connected and has been connected to everyone else there, even if you never met and you don't think you have anything in common. You're still part of the whole. Mm-hmm. So once one person gets something, it's just like a string of Christmas lights. One lights up and the next one lights up and the next one lights up.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really interesting. One of the meditations we had just with a very small group of people, but after that, one of the girls kind of received a message from her angels and then turned to another person sitting at the table, and she was like, we were sisters in a past life. And I thought that was very kind of cool and interesting, and that it seemed very much like we were not all there by accident.
Yeah, I'm sure that we're not. And it's very likely that the people that you're very close to, especially the people that you're close to spiritually in your life, that you have done something before. Mm-hmm. So maybe you were husband's wife's mother and child, or brother and sister in your past life. Mm-hmm. I think that's very likely. But it's very cool when someone suddenly discovers that, and even saying it or thinking it, they just get chills all over their body and they know it's true. And that's one of the things that happens in groups that can be really, really useful.
More self-realization.
More self-realization. Because then you begin to know that you're so much larger than yourself. Mm-hmm. We had a long discussion in the workshop about going into the light and death, and there were quite a few people that, like myself, have experienced going into the light. Uh-huh. And it was all described pretty much the same.
Of being a transparent light body and still having your own consciousness.
And feeling a tremendous amount of love, and feeling that the light felt very soft and comforting. And the whole thing, my experience, their experience, all seemed very, very similar. So that's the other thing, that the advantage of being in a group is that you can, if you're not too shy, you sort of express what you've seen or felt, and then you find out there's, even in a room of 20 people, there's several that experience the same thing.
Yeah, I think for our group meditations here, the ending for me is one of the most uncomfortable and interesting parts of the whole thing, because it ends and then it's like, would anyone like to share anything? And everyone's like dead silent until someone slowly creeps their hand up, raises their hand, and they're like, I have a question. And it starts the spiral of everyone sharing their experiences. And by the end of it, a lot of them have had similar experiences during that same meditation.
Right. Well, and oftentimes there's a theme. You know, one person will say, I saw something on fire, and the next one was saying there was this fire moving up my body. And so it's interesting that oftentimes there's the same theme.
Yeah, same thing, different perception of it.
Sometimes we'll do a meditation that's not aimed at animals or totem animals, but there's a theme going on, and everybody said, well, I saw a cougar with me, there was an owl on my arm, there was a snake going across the floor.
Or I also saw the cougar.
Right. So it's like I figure that's like a jungle night meditation or something. It just happens. It's not it's not the words that I'm saying or even my intention.
Do you think that just depends on the angels that come to join us during that meditation?
Yes, I mean,
whoever is RSVP'd that day.
That's one of the things I talk about in terms of your seeing ability. There's some things you don't control. You can't control what the angels do. You can ask for them to be available and you can ask for information, but what they actually come up with, you have no control over that.
Yeah. I had a question about that because in the reading that you did for me, you described me having like two angels, one kind of old golden wizard guy and one like a shiny sparkly silver light or something. But then you said there's also this grandma spirit that's very interested in me. So for a long time I feel like I've been asking my two angels to come and help me with a lot of things, but like, if I have a better relationship with this like grandmother spirit, should I ask her instead more specifically, because she's more of a guide than an angel maybe? Or
well, I think the focus isn't necessarily on which is the better communicator from their end, but more what you feel more comfortable communicating from your side.
Hey, I'm open for communication. I just want the person that's going to respond to me.
Well, whichever one angels are even more connected. I mean, they're in the same energy field. In a way, they're like an energy soup. They're all pretty much the same, and they take on personas to suit you.
Okay.
So in a way, grandmother or your wizard are the same. They're there for you. But perhaps the grandmother is more current in your mind or where you're at, so that's going to work maybe better for you.
So as far as, a generalization of communicating with your angels and prefacing some of these things that we're asking, like accessing my Akashic records. I want to talk to my angels or my guides. Like, what's the best way for each individual connection?
What you feel the most comfortable focusing on. Because everyone has angelic presence. Everyone has either teacher or old master or your more typical angelic presence with you. And depending on your need, that can change and expand if you're doing more work. Many people in the meditation and other places have been saying to me, I see so many angels with you. One lady said, there's more than 11 angels with you. I don't really have a sense of a number, but at the same time, I'm trying to do a lot of work with many people and what suits them and what's best for them. So sometimes I'll call, hey, I need a medical angel, I need a Akashic record angel, all these different aspects. I need an angel that knows something about enlightenment or healing or whatever I feel I'm needing. And that doesn't necessarily come all from one individual. I'm not really sure why they seem to have some individualization amongst them, or specialty, you might say. But there does seem to be that. Or maybe that's just in my perception. When you want a specialty, you get a specialty. It's one of those partial mysteries. It's a little hard to figure out. But I do know they're there for you. And one of the things we talked about in the workshop is the variations of ways that they will communicate with you. People said, how will you know when you have an answer? Well, you may feel something. You may have a thought and you get chills all over your body. That's one way to know you have communication. You may see a picture. I've seen quite a few pictures in like little picture frames. Looks like little aluminum picture frames. You might see a picture, and someone else mentioned they were seeing pictures in frames from their angels. You may hear a voice saying something just plain as day. I had in one meditation, we were doing a mediumship meditation, and in mediumship meditations, you're asking the angelic beings to tell you what to do a healing. So it's the one time when they actually will tell you to, go over to that person, put your hand on their head, think of light, something like that. And one of them said, you get up and go over to this person. And I didn't do it. And a few minutes later, he said, how about now?
Are you hearing me? Do you feel like getting up yet?
So they do have a bit of a sense of humor.
It's probably frustrating for them to try to communicate with us.
Well, especially when we're not listening.
Yeah, when we're not listening.
Or
yeah.
I'll disregard that. I don't feel like getting up right this minute.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. You might just have a feeling. You might ask, will I have a great relationship with this person? And you suddenly have a feeling that feeling likely came from their angel. But they just answered you with a feeling. And sometimes that all comes together and becomes a more elaborate message. And sometimes you just have these brilliant, shining downloads like I did with the thought form. But I think it's crossing that barrier from feeling that you don't have the connection to you've practiced long enough that you're beginning to actually get almost conversational with your angels, then when things really start to get spectacular. And it does take some time. A lot of people, they try it for a week and they give up. But I was talking to my angels for years and never getting a response.
When did you start getting a response?
Oh, before you were born. So,
okay.
So
it was a while ago.
Well, it's been a while ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago. And I was always quite startled because I would just get one or two words or something and then nothing for a long time. And then something else. But I think the fact that I was startled or kind of shocked by some of it actually made it harder for the next message. I think it helps when you're just really just comfortable with it, like it's sort of ordinary.
Yeah, I know that was one of the things I talked with my friend, after initially starting to have lucid dreams, we were both dreaming for a while and then nothing for like months, 6 months, a year after. And both of us were kind of wondering, like, why did that stop?
Well, I think one of the things that it stops because you're integrating, and that the part of the dream that you remember is probably a small piece of something that you're integrating into your system. And however long that takes is however long it takes. Time is very different on the astral. Many people, some people may not know what I'm talking about, but many times on the astral you have this like epic dream. I mean, it's like you're dreaming Dr. Zhivago. It goes on and involves people and travel and life and death and all of this stuff. And, you were asleep for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that on the astral, you actually were doing all of that stuff. It wasn't just a memory. Sometimes you're actually going through these motions of the equivalent of years, months, days, or years. And then you get a translation of that into a dream. And even then, I used to say if I wrote down my dreams, I wouldn't ever have time to do anything else.
It's amazing that you're remembering that many of them.
Yeah, it was just stunning. That's part of the situation, is
The integration.
So if you dream a whole Dr. Zhivago thing, then, well, it's going to take time to translate that into this time frame.
So it's possible, I guess, both of us had something like that, and then in the process of continually to try to have lucid dreams and then continuously not having them, somewhere along that timeline we stopped asking to remember our lucid dreams.
Well, and you don't necessarily have to ask to remember them. I think it's just how close you are to the topic. I don't think it's a mistake that or a coincidence that I had this dream about creating thought forms while we were in a workshop where we're talking all for 2.5 days about thought and how it works. So was that a coincidence, or was that part of the workshop according to the angels? Or you can look at it lots of different ways.
I don't know. We should experiment with a new group. See if the angels teach you anything else that's new and fun.
Because when I'm stretching my mind to try to communicate all this information in a way that people not only will get it, understand it, but they'll actually be able to stand up and use it.
Yeah.
And when I point out to some of these people, they're feeling this heart energy and they could feel that they have this healing ability. I always say to them, it's important, you could actually save somebody's life. You may not think of yourself as a healer,
Yeah.
but you could save somebody's life. We had one person there that said, I'm very skeptic, and I'm a lawyer. I'm skeptic of everything.
Sure.
But by the end of the workshop, that person was not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to be a skeptic when it comes to a lot of these things. If you're not yourself seeing or feeling or experiencing that, it just sounds crazy to most people. And what I think is really fun with how you teach is like, okay, well, let's just get you in your body. Do you feel that tingling in your feet? Because that seems to be still one of the number one exercises that people leave and go, whoa, that was amazing. And it's very, very simple.
Well, and we talked a lot about also shrinking their energy fields. Psychics tend to blow out these big, giant fields. And almost everyone in the workshop, their field encompassed
everyone else in the
everyone
workshop.
else, but half the house.
Yeah, wow.
And people don't realize how destructive that is as a lifestyle. It's very bad for you because you're always in someone else's space. And oftentimes those people are saying, I feel like I have no space.
Which sounds terrible in like high-rise apartment situations.
Yes, really. You're really that person is in their room having a fight with somebody, but their energy field's so big.
It's also got the neighbor family down below and
above
and side to side.
Yeah.
Across the hall.
Wow, they could be sitting quietly watching the nature show on TV, and suddenly they get a ripping headache.
Yeah.
And that would be why. So people were pretty stunned about that. Just wow. That not only that they have that, but that they can control it. Mm-hmm. And they're in charge of it. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest dysfunction in our society is that we don't even know. Most people are still debating whether or not they have a soul or they have an energy body, much less how to use it.
Or what they believe even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people still believe the world's flat.
Yeah, that's true.
and of course it's their right to believe that.
Yeah. I've heard there's some pretty convincing arguments for that one too. But
Well, then I suppose some people would say there's convincing arguments that you don't have a soul and you don't have an energy body.
sure.
But if you put 20 people in a room and they all start to work with it and they can all feel it and they all have the same experience, then people begin to think, there might be something to this.
Yeah.
Marie might know what she's talking about. And then we take the whole thing and talk to them about this can also go long distance. It's like I do healings with people on the phone all the time, long distance, and they're thousands and thousands of miles away. And they go, wow, I feel better. Wow, that's stunning. I feel better. And I say, well, what kind of healer would I be if you didn't? Isn't that what's supposed to happen when you do a healing?
What would happen if they didn't feel it after you do a healing? You would be like every other quote unquote healer out there, probably.
I would stop doing it. I would be doing a bad job.
Yeah.
That's a kind of recognition of personal power that people were experiencing.
Yeah. And something that, if anybody's listening, could experience.
Absolutely. It's not like something I have that they don't have.
So how can we get our listeners engaged in feeling this now? What can we do with them?
Well, the podcasts are a great place to start.
Uh-huh.
There's a ton of information, and it's serious information.
Which one should they start with?
If they're not meditating already, they should consider meditation.
Okay.
Because when you're sitting still and you're asking your angels for something, it's useful if you're asking your angels for something that you're somewhere holding energy for long enough for them to answer you.
Uh-huh. So how to meditate and better your practice.
Yes.
I don't remember which number that one was, but
I don't remember the number either, but it just is useful. They have to have some way of tuning to you and you tuning to them, and that's hard to do while you're driving on the freeway or working long hours. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's necessary to
set aside time
for
the angels.
Yeah, angel hour.
For our higher selves.
So many people say they want to be a healer, but they're not practicing anything.
Right.
They're not practicing meditation. They're not practicing healing.
Well, I think it's just like part of our culture right now, right? Like we want something, we want it now, and there's websites that make it happen for us. Be a healer, take this course. Like, great, now, boom, now I have it.
But being a spiritual healer or teacher, I think you maybe should look at it more like if you were trying to become a doctor.
Okay.
You can want to be a doctor, but you're going to have to take a lot of classes. You're going to have to spend some time. Uh-huh. And 8 years later, you're a doctor.
Right.
Now, I'm getting much more rapid results with people because I don't have that kind of patience. But at least if a person went into it with the idea that, yes, this is something I want enough that I'm going to spend some time.
Yeah.
Some time, maybe not out of every day of my life, but maybe 4 days a week of my life, I'm going to actually make an effort.
Yeah.
And it does really help if you can get a group together and do at least meditation or try different healing techniques or things of that nature. Because first, you have a sounding board, you begin to realize you're just normal like everyone else. And more people amp up the potential, the energy in the room. Mm. And so you're going to feel it stronger, more likely to experience something in a group.
Take it from Dr. Marie.
I'm not a doctor.
Well, you've put the time in to be a healer doctor, quote unquote.
I've definitely put in the time, years and years and years. And I spent a lot of those years worried about not being a good enough one. So I would have to really work on trying to get my skills better. Mm-hmm. I just felt that I had to do that. Mm-hmm. I think there's sometimes an abundance of overconfidence in people with really not that much skill.
I tend to agree. And I mean, even the wisest most educated person, I think, is smart enough to realize that there's always something that you don't know. And so I get really weary with people that are really overconfident and maybe don't know that much. Whereas I think me and you both have a tendency, maybe not you. I have a tendency to be a little bit quieter about what I know and, really take more time to think about it. And sometimes I get really frustrated that I didn't speak out louder or something with that, because then someone will say something that I had a thought before them, or I'll say the same thing that gets overlooked, but somebody that says it with more confidence, even though they're saying the same thing, then everyone starts to listen to them more.
Well, yeah, and that's true. And the truth is that I've found more spiritual people are more humble. The louder they're shouting to the rooftops how many titles they have probably is a direct equation to their lack of talent. And people that are real healers, they're not too worried about how many titles they have or convincing people.
It's one thing for the doctor to display their diplomas on the wall, and the other one to be like, oh, I've gotten this and I did this training and I went and did that and I'm a specialist in this, blah, blah, blah.
I actually saw a flyer one time that this guy had written all his titles in a spiral, and it covered an entire page. Most of it was sort of made up stuff that advanced channeler of all the ascended masters, all of these different things he had written, and that covered this whole page, and I looked at it. I found that really hilariously funny, but I also couldn't actually find out why he was doing it, what the actual advertisement was for. I mean, was it for an event or something? He got so caught up in
making
his
all
titles,
of the titles
that it wasn't obvious what he did or where he did it or why. It was sort of, I thought, kind of comical also. I'm very careful to tell people that I don't know certain things. If someone asks me, do you know this? No, I don't.
Yeah.
One person was in the workshop saying, well, do you know this about that? I said, actually don't know about that. So I can't really help you there because I only teach from my direct experience. I can't say anything. And they said, well, do you think it's good? I don't know.
Yeah, haven't tried it. Don't know anything about it.
Don't know if
Can't
it's good,
have an
don't know if
opinion
it's
on
bad.
it.
I'm not going to trash it. I don't know. I think that's important too for teachers to realize, obviously, I'm not going to know everything. And it's okay to not know everything. So you can go try to find out if you want, if you're really interested in it. But almost
Sit down and meditate,
download, find out about it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not necessary.
I mean, ultimately, it sounds like that's how it happens. You meditate, you have a dream, you're on the astral, you download a new skill, and then the next day you're swirling around a brand new thought form.
Exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
99% of everything that I know happened almost exactly that way. Sometimes I had a actual memory of sitting with an angel and talking with them. More often, I would just meditate and be thinking, I need to be a better healer, or I need more understanding. And then 2 or 3 days later, I wake up and I do know it. And people say, how did you do that? Well, I don't know. It's there. It's there for you. There's no difference between me and anybody else, except maybe the practice.
Yeah, the time that you put in.
The time that you put in. If someone has a question.
If you felt enlightened by this episode, listening to us chat, and if you're just discovering us, subscribe to our page, go back, listen to some older episodes. Lots of good, valuable information in a lot of these episodes. And share with your friends.
And more to come, because I doubt if the angels have run out of things to say.
They're going to show her more things, so stay tuned in for another episode next week. Okay, bye.